And welcome back to JKLIVE live here at Citizen Television. I've got Emmy Kosgei's dad on the bench. I feel like singing Taunet Nelel.
I think it is the best time.
I think it's the best time. Bishop Jackson Kosgei is in the house, and Dr. Nelson Makanda. He's a Vice Chancellor of the Africa International University. Gentlemen, we're talking about the way forward, and it's a very crucial time. You said we're on the precipice, we're at the crossroads. That's where we are, and it's very important. Bishop, when you talk to those Gen Zs, and you talk to them, and they, I guess, you spend time with them.
Yeah, it was interesting, Jeff. But, at that moment, the spirit of the time was not mutual.
Yes. Were you scared, by the way? Were you?
No.
You weren't scared at all?
I was not. Because we've been going through the same experience for about 2-3 days. Any reasonable mind will always know the outcome, the consequences of this, that anything can happen. So I was at least thankful that in their anger, there was still humanity in them.
Yeah.
And I think this is what we need to exploit now. These are not visitors on this planet.
Yeah.
These are our children, Jeff.
Yeah.
We are their parents. And we cannot think that it is an evil that has dropped down. It is us.
But when you see the goons in the rallies, there are goons that appear.
Now, that's something else.
Yes.
That's something else. I think we are going to go on that part. Firstly, they spoke to me and they said, Bishop, we want to tell you tell the president, this is not about the bill. It's about a change, a regime change. Tell him that. Then another one said, for any conversation to happen, tell him to drop the bill. They were that candid, and they finished, and they began singing. They began singing, and they began going, and then some of them used that opportunity to, you saw them climbing on the walls to escape. They didn't want, I think they were tired or something.
Correct.
But the rest went with me, and they went back to Bunge. So one question, and I like what you asked, Prof. One question that we need to ask ourselves is to find an answer, we must understand the undercurrent.
Yeah.
What is it that is making these young people so despondent and so vulnerable for any idea to come around? Allow me, Jeff, if I can mention 2 or 3, maybe. I know you have your line of thought.
It's okay. Go ahead, Bish.
Number 1, this is reminiscent. It's almost a replica of what happened in the Maghreb nation of North Africa and the Middle East.
We're talking about the Arab Spring.
Yes. This is, when you look at it, I'm a student of sociology in the social sciences. And when you look at it as an historian, you see the same happening. But what we are dealing with today is the impact of industrial revolution. We are in the 4th industrial revolution, which is an internet digital revolution. This revolution, historians and sociologists have observed, it's going to affect the way we live, the way we work, and the way we organize our economy, and finally, even the way we govern ourselves. It is that big. When you talk about the 4th dimension of industrial revolution, you're talking about an age of a big data, where big information is kept in a small chip. It's available. The amount of information reaching this generation is greater than their ability to interpret it. The second part is the virtual reality, that the stage is no longer about being present in the field. You can bring Masai Mara here. You can learn how to to pilot a jet in a simulator. Inside virtual reality, you come out having the same experience you have in the world. And the last one is the AI. Artificial intelligence. Now, what is it happening? It is affecting this generation, and more so in the south, in the global south, more than the north. The north is a bit older. It is 3 to 7. That means every 10 people, you have 3 years younger people of 30 years and below. So they will need a digital system, technology to do a big work. You need few people to do it. Africa, which is staggering between 70 and 80%, younger people below 35 years. Jeff, we are having people that cannot be accommodated by our economy in terms of employment. And yet we are bringing technology that what 100 years ago, 50 years ago, 20 years ago, what 100 people were doing, it is done by one person with the help of technology. So you ask yourself, 99 of the others, what will they do?
Already there's high unemployment.
High unemployment, it has gone up. The second thing that this technology does is to remove people from the human environment, isolate people from the rest of the society, and you become an individual. Look at this platform these young people are using.
X.
You would see 120,000 people on one platform.
Imagine.
Sitting somewhere in the world. And running when they talk about tribeless, leaderless, it's just jargon. There is leadership because the technology is providing it. Even to move, it required that. So that is one issue that we are facing, and that as we address as a country, even them, as they make demand on that, is that Kenya as a country, for example, when you see in Africa what they call the median age, it's between 16%
and it's 19.
It's 19.
Median age.
Median age.
Yes. Okay, Bishop, hold that thought. Dr. Nelson Makanda, let me ask you this. My good friend, Maina Kageni, is watching.
Okay.
He always watches. And he's saying, let me quote him real quick, and you can answer this. He says, these kids have lost hope. Their only strength is in their numbers. They have no money, they have no jobs, they have degrees, but they don't make any difference. Even their girlfriends have been snatched from them. That's a dangerous generation to spit at.
Talking of hopelessness, I think this generation, if you take it, that they're the ones that benefited most from free education that was provided by Kibaki. And give or take, between the age of 15 and 24 years old, as per the last census, we have about 10 million Kenyans. 7 million of those are between the age of 18 and 24. Only 1 million are either in university or in a TVET.
Out of
7 million. Out of 7 million possible students for a university or a TVET, only 1 million are in a TVET or a university studying.
Which leaves 6 million.
Leaves out 6 million. So as much as you're saying that there are a few that Maina is looking at and saying that they have degrees, the largest number, over 5 million of them between the age of 18 and 24 are out of school. They got a D or a D plus or a D minus, and they're somewhere out there.
And they're angry.
And they're angry. This is the precipice you're talking about. Because when this hopelessness metamorphoses into anger, and the anger is brought out onto the street, you see what you saw the other day in the US with Trump.
Yes.
A 20-year-old.
A 20-year-old.
A 20-year-old. And so our prayer is that our leaders will see this. If I were the president today, I will make TVET training free for the next 5 years. Let all these 5 million young people get a course, learn how to do plumbing, electrical, mechanics, basics, agriculture.
Yes.
Yeah. Put them somewhere, give them some skills, and don't go to Europe or the US as my brother here, Bishop, has talked about the North and comparing the age statistics. 3 out of 10 are younger people, meaning that they need more younger people.
Yes.
The jobs that they need are the jobs that technology cannot do. Fix a water tap.
Yes.
Fix a toilet.
Yeah.
Fix a car. Go to Europe. Go to Canada. Go to US. Go to Australia. And look for those jobs for these 5 million young people. If government invests there, I think that will change the
And it shouldn't be Saudi Arabia.
It shouldn't be,
Mamboch.
No, not Mamboch and nurses. Yes,
no.
Yes, yeah. Because these young people, the ones that are out of college, they are extremely a significant number. In 2027, we might have about 14 million new young voters.
Wow.
In 2027.
And let's not forget, 8 million people didn't vote in 22.
Yes, yes.
8 million
did
not vote.
They did not vote.
Imagine adding another.
They did not vote. They did not vote. So for them, because of the hopelessness, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you didn't go to work, it doesn't matter to them. They never go to work.
Correct.
So if you tell them, oh, Tuesdays, please don't interfere with our work or what have you.
They're online.
I mean, they have not been going anywhere. So it doesn't matter to them. So we need to find a way in which we speak to them, speak to their needs, mitigate against the adversities that they face and experience, and inspire hope.
Bishop Kosgei, what Dr. Makanda just said is very important, because when it comes to Tuesdays, the roads are empty. Businesses are shut down. Millions, if not billions, are being lost. It's important to tell these kids that, you know, life has to go on. Right?
Yes.
It's important to talk to them.
Life has to go on. And you're right, Jeff. We would like to appeal, because basing on the reaction they had after getting the vulnerable members of parliament, and they never took advantage of that. That is a positive thing about them. And we are asking them to exploit the same. Now that the government has moved a step towards the demand, drop the bill and ask for a dialogue with government. Like the professor said, let us give ourselves a chance as a nation. Because, Jeff, we don't have another country. Some countries have tried to solve this problem of joblessness, despondency in society, by instigating measures that has really retarded nations down the line. One country is Somalia, our own
and that
neighbor.
Was 30 plus years ago. 1991.
Can you imagine? And by removing Siad Barre, this brought the nation to ground zero that has taken over 30 years to rebuild it. Even now as we sit, we don't have a nation. We had the same problem in Sudan.
Ethiopia,
we've had the same problem in Ethiopia. We have had the same problem in many other countries. Kenya, at least, with all our problems, we have tried to solve the problem by even changing the modus of governance. Thanks to our brothers and sisters who insisted that the post-colonial constitution cannot help us. We must have a new one. And today we have one of the most progressive constitutions in the world. Can you imagine when the opposition lost, they had a chance to go to court? 2017 was very hilarious, that the president who had won the court nullified his winning.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Yeah. In independent Kenya.
Or in Africa.
Or in Africa, our own president had to go back for election. And the country continued. We had an election 2022. Again, the losing candidate felt he needed a redress from the court. We were patient as a nation, and we progressed. This is now how we can take advantage of evolution rather than revolution. Revolution takes us back. You talk about Libya today, after removing Muammar Gaddafi. Our friends in the West thought that was the best way to silence a protagonist, a juvenist, and
an Africanist.
An Africanist. When having removed him from power, what has happened is that the country is divided between two warlords.
Yes.
The country, there is no more country.
It's a mess.
It's a mess. And when the Arab uprising took place, and it was guided by young people, plus other people who helped it, in the Middle East, it is unstable so much that it is great war today. I am using this podium, Chair, and thanks for having us.
Thank you.
On behalf of the parents, on behalf of the leaders and those of goodwill, we love you children. They are our children. They are our children because if they know better today, it is a product of our efforts. We didn't have bad will for them. We had goodwill for them. So we are appealing that we cannot destroy this country. You may destroy it, but you will not be there to see the solution coming. Like now, South Sudan and Sudan and other countries, those who will write the last contract to keep the nation together will be a different generation.
Yeah, they probably haven't been born yet.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Dr. Makanda, do you agree? Do you agree? Because, you know, these kids have done well so far.
Yeah.
The finance bill was withdrawn.
Yes.
Cabinet was sacked.
Yes. The president already declared austerity measures in his office and the office of the deputy president.
Correct.
In other words, some positive things are happening.
Yeah.
So I think it's time to step back and say, let's give them time to see whether they will implement, whether they are serious or not, so that then you monitor progress. Because the challenge that you have is that you go to the streets, but you have no control of the goons.
Yeah.
The young people mean well, but not all of us mean well. So they are being infiltrated by goons. They are destroying property. I mean, I listened to a news about Kitengela.
Yeah.
I was shocked to see what happened in Kitengela.
Imagine.
The amount of business that was lost.
Yes. In one day.
In one day. We cannot sustain that. And because the young people cannot control the goons on the streets, I think change tactic, withdraw, and say, we have provided this time A, B, C, D to be accomplished, and we are following. Very soon, I suppose, IBC will be formed. Registration of voters will begin.
IDs.
IDs. Get your national IDs and get in there. Change the regime through a democratic process.
Yes.
That is the only hope we have as a country. If we don't pursue that and pursue anything else, all of us.
We will all sink.
And perish.
All of us.
Will perish.
All of us.
Right?
It's not the ruling class.
It's not the ruling class.
Not their parents.
No.
Not these young men.
It's everybody.
Women. It's everybody. We will lose the country. We will lose ourselves. I want to agree with what my brothers just said, and because it makes sense, that the alternative is not the best. Because violence begets violence. As we move towards now bringing it to a realization, the consequences of our demands, divergent views will begin to come. Although it is not tribeless, it is tribeless now, it will increasingly become tribal. If we don't take care of it, they say it is leaderless, it is increasingly finding leadership. And if they say we are partyless, it is increasingly becoming a desired identity. Because, for example, Jeff, when you look at it as a sociologist, social categorization social categorization is not a natural homogeneous phenomena. It is a social construct where you form a concept which is with an attractive theme, and a gravitas that can pull people of the same, going through the same problems. Usually it serves a shorter term, but it has a long-term impact. Mm-hmm. So when you hear being described as a Generation Z, it doesn't mean you are isolated from the mainstream society.
Right.
It is just a challenge which is appearing and facing a certain generation. You remember when, let me use a very simple one, when Moi was facing election in 1992, mm-hmm. and he felt he was losing because the opposition was uniting against him, he would not survive. Mm. Thankfully for him, he could enjoy a simple majority. He organized a team from university called JKLIVE.
Yeah.
My friend, that became a machine. In fact, later on, the president had a problem in dismantling it.
Because it grew, it became its own animal.
It became its own animal.
And who was chief among them?
I'm telling you, I can't say that. In this platform of reconciliation and terms, we don't want to provoke.
Okay. But we know.
But we know.
Those who know,
We know.
They know.
Yeah. You know, today they can proudly say, if they have anything to have achieved, it is that generation.
So it was the Gen Z of that time.
Of that time,
right.
The Gen Zs of that time.
Yes.
So I am persuading our younger people that one of the worst things you can do to your generation is to deny your generation an identity. Because one, you are denying your generation an anchor that can keep you in place. Number two, it destabilizes your decisions as you make today. And three, it denies you confidence to face the future. Because if we are fighting against corruption, for example, and we must, and I want to promise, I've been around and I've seen regimes. I entered into service in the church towards the tail end of Mzee Kenyatta. I saw it, the transition came. I was there in Moi's regime, I was there in Kibaki's, and so you can say about this one. I want to tell these young people, man from time immemorial is corrupt.
Yeah.
Can you find even now, you can't miss corrupt people. You can see now as they demonstrate for a better change, corrupt people and corrupt members are entering into their system. They are the ones who are robbing people. They are taking people's property. There is no difference from a silent robber who robs public funds and the robber who comes to your shop and take it while you worked for it. Yeah. These are, you can see the heart of man. So let us all work it out together with you. And I want to promise that as a person who has participated in shaping opinion, lives of people, preach to many people, talk to many people, counsel many people, you see, such move they have taken will leave a change in this country.
Forever.
Forever.
Dr. Makanda, you agree? You agree?
I think so. You begin to appreciate that if tactic does not change, it means that we escalate yesterday.
Yeah.
It was in 23 counties.
Yeah.
Escalation means 47 counties.
Next time.
Next time. Because, I mean, what happens with this peer thing, and it's online, they begin to say...
Yeah, occupy this, occupy that.
Kakamega, we were active. Bungoma, why are you not active?
Right.
It begins to incite.
Pressure.
And put pressure. Before you realize, you notice that we don't have enough policemen. We do not have enough military. We do not have enough Jeff Koinanges. It becomes truly leaderless. Everybody does what they deem right, like in the book of Judges, because there is no king, there is no leader. You displace governments from the county governments. you displace your national government. At that point, you thought you were fighting for Kenya. Kenya is no more. So a noble idea has been hijacked, has been used, has been abused, and the results become detrimental to all of us.
And anarchy.
Anarchy. So for me, it's to really say, Gen Zs have taught us. We have learned. I mean, we have learned. In my own house, I have several of them. I have learned things that I didn't know before. And it's a good thing they have done. But they have also learned. You know, they have not been, when Daddy sits to watch news and to watch Jeff, they have not been doing that. But now they are sitting.
And watching.
Yes, and watching.
And they are listening.
So we have both learned.
Right.
We've both learned. They have noticed, oh, there's serious discourse that happens on television about our nation. Now they are watching news. They are following Jeff. You might have discovered that the numbers here in this media house have catapulted.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes, because we have learned. And because we have learned, let's now allow time. Let's see the seed germinate. Let's see how our leaders are going to behave. Let's watch them closely because they seem to have good records, because internet does not forget. Yes, they have good records. Let's use those records next year in June as we go to the next budget. Let's use those records in 2026 as we go to the next budget. In 2027, second Tuesday
of August.
Let's meet these people on the ballot. It is possible to have a 29-year-old president in 2027.
Good Lord.
Yes.
Wow.
Because 14 million of them who have never voted
will vote as to a man or to a woman.
Will be ready to vote. There's nothing that stops the young man I saw here yesterday being president
of Kenya.
Yeah, of Kenya.
Bishop Kosgei, you speak to the president. You know, you speak to him one now and then. Let's face it, you speak to him.
Right.
What is he saying? Is he worried? Is he angry? What is he telling you?
No, I think he's understanding of the situation. When we went to see him on Wednesday, when the young men said talk to him, we went and found him talking to us. And this is, he made a very interesting statement. He said, I govern a country, but remember, I am leading people.
Very true.
That's a statement he made. It's made to us. And he said, we must listen to the children, because these ones are not goons. The report from, this country is endowed with the best intelligence system. Don't worry about little things here and there. This country has the best. It has never been disturbed.
Correct.
So the president is the primary consumer of intelligence service in this country. And you rule the world by intelligence. He convinced all of us, members of parliament. He said, I know you made your decision. I know you voted. But now that you have voted, this vote has been misunderstood. And we must make sure that everybody of us will be with us. And he's more understanding. And we wanted even to suggest to him, some of us, that he should not even appear before and address them. He said, I promised them. I told them I will have a sitting with you.
And he went ahead.
And I'm going to go and visit them in their own space. We say this is against tradition of statecraft. How can a president expose himself to ridicule and insult? He said, no, I promised these young people, and these are our children, I must listen to them. At home, we do. And he went ahead, Jeff, and he did. Now, allow me to add one more. You can see I'm an historian. I believe in that. Now, one country, an example of a country that got independence in 1804 is Haiti.
Oh, goodness.
1st July.
1804.
1804. They enjoyed stability for 82 years. After that, they have had 12 presidents, and they have killed 4 of them.
Of their presidents.
Of their presidents. They have pulled their country to zero.
Yeah.
No government.
Correct.
They got independence from the French.
Yeah.
And they had a very serious hatred for the white man because they enslaved them.
And it was a revolution.
It was a revolution.
Correct, against the French.
Now that country is on ground zero.
It's a mess.
It is being run by warlords here and there.
Some guy called Barbecue.
And they are not barbecue.
That's the name of the guy.
And then still there is humanity in them.
Yeah.
They are crying to the world, can you come for us? Somebody wrote a book called Stephen Covey. I like some of his writings, they are motivational. Stephen Covey wrote one of the books called 7 Habits Effective People Must Remember. And he talked about 7 habits. I want to mention 3. One, he said, be proactive. And it is good for this generation to be proactive. Yeah. That way we are going to prepare inheritance for them. We are soon going to be out of the stage. This world is theirs. They're going to run this country. Yep. We are not preparing for anybody coming from the moon. No. We are preparing for you. Now that you have given the kind of a world you want to run, we will prepare it for you. Now, secondly, it says, anything you want to do, remember the end from the beginning. See the consequences. Yeah. Now, we are appealing to our children and tell them, now, what you have done has given us a wake-up call. We are ready to work with you and make sure we are preparing this country for you, for those who are still in school, for those who are still preparing. Now, if we go this way by amicable solution, following a constitutional framework, constitutional order. For example, you have the power in voting, for example. Prof has said we probably will have about 14 million new voters. That is your strength. You will sweep everybody out if you want.
Correct.
You can still, society mixes itself. Let us use a constitutional means to bring change.
What's the third one?
The third one, you still remember it. Yes, have a win-win mentality. Yeah. Yeah, take and give. Never stand on one side to be the only winner. You need to be empathic in some situations. To say, if I am on the other side, what will I have done? I was listening to some of them saying, we will demonstrate until what the president promised the people is done. Yeah. You know, it is true. That one is a good demand.
But it's give and take.
It is give and take. Some of these things requires some legal.
Yeah, I agree that. I agree with that. But the other thing is, there's a fear and the danger. I think you both mentioned this about this whole protest, the revolution, whatever you want to call it, being hijacked.
Sure.
There's that danger.
Sure. That's
a real fear.
That's a real fear.
It's a real fear. Yeah. I mean, you begin something with good intentions.
Yes.
But you have no control.
Correct.
The trajectory. You have no control of who you have called to come on the streets. Yeah. Everybody comes on the streets. Yeah. Even now, the policemen are coming on the streets and they are covered. Their faces are not visible. So you can't know whether this was a policeman or it was not a policeman. And there's some illegal guns and weapons out there. Plenty of them. And so because of that, this is not speaking out of fear or fear-mongering. This is about being wise and being tactful. You have tested that actually it's possible with numbers to cause change and make people listen to you. And politicians love to listen to numbers because numbers matter to them.
It's all about numbers.
Yes, it's about numbers. Yeah. So use that weapon. Yeah. Use that weapon. Register. Wait. And let's deal with these members of parliament.
Okay.
Let's change them.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Is there a fear of abductions, though? You know, because abductions are getting more and more. And there's that fear, you know, there's that...
I mean, abductions have happened already.
Yes.
They have been happening. I mean, it's possible that some of them have been done by the security forces, but some of them might have been done by goons and other people. Because there are people who also do not like everybody. There are people who want to take advantage. There are people who are doing human trafficking. There are people who are doing body organs harvesting. So all these people get into this process.
And they take advantage.
And they take advantage. Once we get there, you can never account for anything. I mean, you point fingers and say, so-and-so has done this, government has done this, but some of it has been done by goons.
Right.
So for me, a message has been communicated. Let's go back and rebuild our country. Appealing to leaders, please do not misuse the opportunity. Mheshimiwa, don't misuse the opportunity that you have received. These young people have granted you, our leaders, a weapon in your hands. I mean, now is a time for you to get rid of patronage. You can easily say, I mean, look here, my friend Wetangula or my friend so-and-so, Kingi, I promised you this, but you have seen what the young people have said. So it's time to get free from it.
Correct. I tell you, Chef, that's very right.
Yeah.
You know, what this young man has done, as much as we are feeling the impact both ways, they have given the president the free hand to organize the country.
Right.
As the leader of the country.
Yes. Like a second chance almost.
A second chance.
Yeah.
And free. So it is all his friends who were asking for payment. Yeah. I think he has paid it for the last 2 years. And this must mark the end of patronage and hostaging of the president. Let the president be free. Yes. And listen to Kenyans and run this country in the interest of the nation. Absolutely. So I believe this is because I'm a Christian leader, I believe this is a God-given opportunity. I really buy his, would I say, admonition on the political class, yes, on their behalf. Yes. I think that makes sense. And everybody else who is a player in the field, let him deliver to the people of Kenya.
Absolutely.
And let us give confidence to our children. I want to disabuse one thing. People thought the president doesn't listen to anyone. That's a fallacy. I know him for many years. And when he was advised that this one is not helping, drop it. He did.
And he listened.
And he listened. Well, we were there, some of us thought, because we have what we call political divide. We want to say, we want to demonstrate that we are in charge. And Mr. President, don't give up. He said, listen, I govern a country, but I lead the people.
I like that. Let's go to the magic wall. There's many, many comments coming in thick and very fast. Let's take a listen, gentlemen. Sir Nixon Dugida says, Dr. Nelson and Reverend Jackson, if you were in the position as that of the president, how would you deal with the unending Gen Z's demands who are bringing up new demands at a rate of each sunrise? I think, Dr. Makanda, you mentioned that, right?
Yes.
Every day there's a new demand.
Yes, yes.
How would you deal with it if you were president?
Yeah, and that's why we were saying a perpetual demand.
Yes.
It's like chasing a moving target. What we are saying, the likely path that will leave us, it will take us to the precipice.
Yes, absolutely.
So we are asking ourselves, do you choose to go to that direction? Can you let us allow ourselves to deal now with the foundational issues?
Dr. Makanda, you agree?
I think prioritize. Yeah. Prioritize. I mean, the list might look like it's an ending.
Yes.
But what the Gen Zs are asking for is leadership for the country that serves and delivers for everyone.
That's it.
That's what they are looking for. The list can be listed everywhere. So prioritize. The president has to prioritize. But also for the Gen Zs to begin to see, this is our list, and this is the list of priorities.
That's it.
And you can do it.
And they'll be reasonable, they're understandable.
They'll be reasonable. Yeah. They are very reasonable. Yeah. From the story I've had here, how they treated him.
How they treated the bishop.
Yes.
Amazing.
They are very reasonable.
Amazing. Yeah. James Barago says, has the church acknowledged it led us to this mess? I don't support the looting, and something should be done to the criminals sabotaging the main course. County governments are on the radar. Accountability glues commitment to results. The church.
Allow me to answer that so that Prof can do. There has been a misconception about the role of the church. I think that is really unfair. The church was there on behalf of Kenya when they didn't have an alternative voice in this country. When this country went into what you call a one-party state, it silenced everybody else with their dissenting voices, and we ended up losing people. They were killed, they were murdered. The church stood up and provided an alternative voice that culminated into multi-party system. The church helped in bringing in the opposition system. That is working. Raila Odinga, the former prime minister, has done it very well. Very consistent and very patriotic. Because when it reached where the nation can go to the precipice, he comes back and his patriotism comes out. So the church, he's not supposed to be an opposition voice now because we have an active opposition. Of course, we have some excesses here and there, like you have in any religion in the world. But that does not form the standard. Secondly, I know, Jeff, what Kenyans have been talking about is having the politicians coming to the church and contributing a lot of money, sometimes speaking from there. Now, two things makes that happen. Number one, they have never been into any church without invitation of the church. Number two, some of them are members of our churches. Now, the excesses in their behavior talks about a few individuals, like when you talk about opulence, for example, right? You remember between 1974 and 1979, there were some politicians, say, for example, in some cities in this country, I will not mention, who used to do campaign with helicopter and raining money onto their constituents.
Don't mention any names.
I'm not mentioning. The other one is, we had another one at the same time who were carrying money in sacks.
Wait a minute, Bishop.
And then you go on and on.
What about the other day when someone walks into Harambee and gives 20 million to cash?
20 million, it's the same group.
Cash.
Now, but you see, this is not enough to condemn the whole church and the whole members of parliament. People there, we have decent people. But let us separate missteps of individuals.
Dr. Makanda, you agree?
Yes, I do agree.
A few bad apples.
Yes, we can use that.
Yes, and I mean, the former president told us that we lose about 2 billion shillings every day. I don't think that church is receiving that money. That's not where that money is being spent.
Absolutely.
That money is being spent elsewhere. So church is just a scapegoat.
I agree. The scapegoat.
All right. Tony Manyara says, it is alleged that a sect of the recently fired CSs will be reinstated back to the respective cabinet positions. Is it a wise move by the president, considering its Gen Z's irreducible minimums that no reinstating back anybody fired? Would you like to see?
Bishop has talked about win-win situation. It's a negotiation. I do not think that all the cabinet members that have been sacked, all of them were bad people. And the prerogative to form a cabinet belongs to the president.
Let's allow him.
Let's allow him to use that prerogative and judge him later. Because it is him making those decisions. If he doesn't give us a good cabinet, he will fail.
And the Gen Zs will be out there again.
They'll be out there again. So I think let's give him the prerogative because it is his constitutional
Bishop, you agree?
Again, yes, Kenyans have spoken loud. And as I told you, the president is a listening president. Let me use this platform today to disabuse these, it's like a propaganda, which is politics. It is acceptable. I can brand you anything today. I can call you Sagayo. With a beautiful song sung by my friend.
I just sang Taunet Lenel for you. Now you're calling me Zakayo.
No. I will not go. And now, I want to say that Kenyans have spoken. The president has had. If I listened to him when he won Eldoret seat as a young man that time. I think he was like a Gen Z then, at that time. And he made a commitment when he confronted the journalist in Parliament, and he said, I am here to do exactly what the people who elected me from Eldoret North told me to do, and I'm going to represent. He doesn't change. he will do the same for Kenyans. And if he doesn't, then it is himself
to blame.
But good. I know he will do it.
Getao 002 says, ask why they are so afraid of youngsters with just a phone, flag, and knowledge of their rights. What is it that 20-year-olds have done that justifies being faced with bullets and the same people we entrust with our security? We demand accountability of officers.
Well,
they're only armed with a phone, some water, maybe a little KFC or some fish fingers.
Whatever it is that they are armed with.
And a flag.
It's not harmful. And I think that's the point where you say that there's been excessive use of force on the young people. And we condole and mourn those that have lost their lives, that have been maimed, those that have lost their property in the process. I think they have demonstrated that it is possible to exercise our constitutional rights, especially to picket without violence. The first 1 or 2 occasions when they were out there, there was no event. There was nothing.
It was fun. It was almost fun.
In fact, they were walking even with the
police and the security.
The police,
I mean, taking photos with our military, selfies and enjoying it. So we have already demonstrated that it's possible in Kenya. So I think it's just to be able to tell our security agencies, be measured. Let's use less lethal and harmful ways to control crowds, so that then we are able to preserve our children. And any one life lost is one too many.
By the way, the acting IG, what's his name? Kanja, what's his name? Kanja.
Yes.
He says no mandamanos.
Well, the Constitution is clear. So let's respect the Constitution. But let's negotiate with the young people. Let's not push it over their throats. These are the young people. You remember, Matiang'i formed a task force to investigate riots in schools and fires and what have you.
Yes.
These are those young people.
The same young people.
Yes.
Wow. Crispinus Adams, the current situation calls for extraordinary measures but cannot be solved through street battles. I urge my fellow young people, HE, the president, and the rest of our leaders to embrace honest dialogue. That's what you've been talking about. Nyantika Chester says, Kenyans are generally a peaceful lot, but unfortunately they've been taken for granted and pushed to the wall by the latter-day Marie Antoinette. Oh, let them eat cake. Okay. Bishop, I'm sure you're familiar with that. 1789, French Revolution. Whose uncalled for utter opulence, largesse, and wastage is a mockery to the citizenry. Very
right.
True. Very true.
It's not even acceptable, Jeff.
Correct.
In African context. They say don't expose your tummy when it is full. They say just hide it.
Yes.
And in our tradition, for example, if cows would multiply too much, there was a ceremony to be done. You run them across the road and use a cloth to split it and said, I don't like your increase to be too fast. You can make me lose myself.
No.
So it is not acceptable, even in our tradition. Yeah.
Okay. Hopadero says, the youth bulge has caught up with serious youth unemployment, but the new generation of youth is educated and expressive, not the pushover and laid-back suffers politicians perfected their means of control through linear and centralized command. Okay. And Ian Bissett says, my take, the leadership simply needs to fix trust issues. It is difficult to gain trust with Gen Zs once it's lost, but it is not possible. But it is possible. Let there be intentionality in handling the issues raised by the Gen Zs quietly, purposefully, and actively.
Correct.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Nyagaka Nyakundi says, the Gen Z movement has created a conscious nation citizen participation in governance has increased despite the uncalled for bloodshed. A new nation has to come to birth.
Correct.
Eugene Steph says, I agree with Dr. Makanda. Now that we have seen accountability and sober decisions, it is wise to pull back and give the president time to put into practice the remaining pieces. Our major CBDs have become a graveyard for businesses and lives. We're talking about that. I mean, lots and lots and lots of business. Okelo Mwalimu says, Jeff, going by the words of Thomas Sankara, a great revolutionary, quote, there can be no fundamental change without a certain amount of madness, end quote. We must congratulate Gen Zs for stepping in to fill the gap left by compromised politicians. Let the police protect properties and lives. And one more here. Kei Gashima says, such a sober discussion. Asante sana Gen Zs for wheeling Bishop to safety. Hi, Gashima.
Yes, congratulations.
Guy.
It's historical. It's momentous. Huh?
They did a good job.
They did a wonderful job.
They did a
it was
good job.
really
Excellent.
Because it could have gotten ugly.
Yes.
It could have been very ugly.
Yeah, it could.
You know what I'm saying?
It could have been.
And you know, anyway,
yeah.
Well done. Bottom line, going forward, Dr. Makanda, let me start with you because I don't want to keep you guys. It's almost midnight, my God. I don't know how we do this. It's almost midnight.
It is our country.
It is our country. We have to talk about it.
We have to talk about it.
We have no choice.
We can't shy away.
Thank you.
Right.
Dr. Makanda, going forward, your thoughts?
I think going forward is to ask our leaders to understand their citizens. I have seen our leader here very apt with sociology and being able to help us dissect these things. These young people are intelligent, they're independent, they're innovative, they're intellectual, they're interconnected, they're influencers, they're informed, instant, inquisitive, and combining that, they're structureless, they are expressive, they're sensual and engaging. If we do not understand them and meet them where they are, we will lose them. We may also lose our country. I want to urge our leaders, because I engage with young people in my institution. I meet them every day. I speak with them every day. If our leaders do not discern these young people that we are calling Gen Zs and engage them, meet them where they are, I'm very pleased that the president chose the decision he took to meet them on space. He should even come out one of these days when they're on the streets, meet them there, engage these young people. Begin to let them feel you, let them feel our leaders. Let them not think that these young people are monsters. They are not monsters. They are our children, they are human, they carried Bishop to safety. I do not think that their intention is to destroy our country. Let's engage them. Let's listen to them. Let's drive this change together. And for the young people, let us listen to our leaders. Because it is not possible that we can be leaderless as a nation, as a family, as a home, as a school, or as an institution. Wherever you go, you find a leader. These are the leaders we have now. Let's listen to them. Let's give them our views as we have done. Then let's retreat and give them time to implement our views. And if they do not, because you people are not shy the way we used to be shy, you say things as they are. Come back and say things as they are. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. Bishop, you get the final word.
Sure. You spoke about fear, and I thought there is the other dimension of it that came in that what will make leaders and leadership of this country to act is the fact that it is our children. Before I came to studio, I was speaking with a prof, one of the lecturers in Mo University, and he told me, You know, my daughter, who is in university, is a member of this movement. Bishop Olesabit said his son alighted and said, "Dad, I'm joining them." Yes. Now, we have no option, Jeff. Yeah. Why these things must be done, it is because our children. And the third one, which was very serious, is that when a police officer discovered that his brother was killed in there, did you see him removing the uniform? Mm-hmm. It's a very serious thing. Yeah. So I would like to appeal to our young men and women that you have made a point. And you are human enough, you are educated. In fact, I met one of them in one of the eateries, because he came forth and say,
I hope
Bishop,
you bought lunch for him.
No, we were passing each other. I'm going to invite them, those who took care of me. Yes. I'm going to slaughter a goat for them as an elder. Nice. Usually that's what we do. So I'm going to have them. But I met one of them, and he said, Bishop, I was one of them that wheeled you out. Wow. And I saw he's a fine young man. I think he's in the multimedia university. These are promise. So that's point number one. Number two, I want to appeal to all stakeholders, the politicians in all the divide. Let us avoid making inflammatory statements now. It is time to bring this country back. Let us not take advantage over the complaints of our young people and take it to ourselves, something we never did in our time. We have conducted demonstrations. We have done all what we could, but we have never been able to influence leadership the way these young people have done. Let us not hijack it. Let us not use it for our political selfish interests, but let us, all of us, work for a solution for our young people. I'm also appealing to our great men and women in the media fraternity. I was there when this country almost went to the drains, Jeff.
Dogs.
You remember that December?
It's terrible.
31st.
It was terrible.
Now, one of the things that exaggerated the situation was the reporting itself. We would like to appeal to them, all media in this country, even the social media. Please, this is the only country we have. I was in the storm, we call it the eye of the storm. Mm-hmm. You remember, I was a witness, I spoke in, I addressed the International Criminal Court. And the theme that came out was to make sure it was not about ethnic cleansing, but political rage. Let us not drive this country to the difference between, let's say, you have worked with CNN, for example, and the Fox, and you know what's happening in America. Even during rioting, journalists reports with a controlled measure. Yeah. They cannot even show a person who is dead.
No, they can't.
They can't show it. I want to appeal to all media houses. During this moment, you are joking not with an ordinary theme. These are people with energy, with numbers, with nothing to lose except their lives and their future. And you can destroy a country by encouraging it. So I am appealing. I have no bias about it. I am a press person. I like what they do, and my messages, courtesy of media, reaches the world. And we appreciate that. Let us all be patriotic now while looking for an answer. Even finally panelists that we have, you invite Channel, HF, they should not be on the extreme of encouraging violence. They should discuss, we have sat here and there is nothing we have not talked about.
Correct.
Can you imagine?
And soberly.
Without inciting anyone.
Without inciting.
Yeah, and without reprimanding anyone.
No.
But these people are intelligent. They are able to do it. So I want to... The church is now leading a university. Absolutely. And have led the church for many years. Yes. Many years. Yes. Almost 50 years. And I am encouraging. Let us talk together.
Speaking of watching, I hope Emmy is watching.
I hope he will. He is. She is. Everyone in the family. I will call her immediately.
Please do. Make sure.
Yeah, and I'll tell her to call Chef.
Yes.
See her number.
Yeah, and I'll tell her Taunet Nele.
Taunet Nele.
It's a new beginning.
And we say the same Taunet Nele for Kenya.
Yes.
It's a new beginning.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Bishop Jackson Kosgei.
Just allow me to,
yes, sir.
to give a message to Bishop and his colleagues. Please listen to the young people in your churches, our bishops,
yes,
and our pastors and our clergy. Take some time, have sessions with them, listen to them, let them express themselves, hear them out, and give them appropriate guidance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Nelson Makanda, appreciate it. DC of Africa International University. Where are you based?
We're in Karen.
Ah, nice.
Beautiful place to be in school.
Good complex, huh?
Absolutely. Excellent.
I'll come visit one of these days.
Please do come.
If you invite me.
And take one more.
Invited today. Invited today. Invited today. I'll give you even scholarship.
Oh, my.
50% scholarship.
Oh, my.
Yes, on your tuition.
Oh, my.
Please do.
I'm on my way.
Yes.
Thanks so much for being a part of the show, folks.
Asante.
And you know, if it's Wednesday, it's all about those three letters on the keyboard that follow each other. JKL. Thanks so much to all of you. And I always keep saying what the gentleman just talked about. Let's keep talking. Because the moment we stop talking is the moment we start fighting. And you do not want to.
Morning.
It's on.